Welcome to episode 1 of season 2 of Matire Gemi, a bi-weekly podcast where we help you learn about the Agikuyu culture, history, and heritage in English and in a fun, light-hearted way. I'm Jeriwa Diho, Mojiro wa Bariaki Hara, your anchor, and I'm here with Wayaki, your cultural enthusiast who continues to immerse himself in learning the ways of our ancestors. So today, we have a really delicious episode for you because today we are going to start to dig into how our ancestors lived. Meaning, did you know, right, that Nyûmba does not necessarily mean home? Did you know, right, that in a homestead, right, there was what's quote unquote a feminine structure called a Nyûmba, and it had a spiritual meaning and significance. And there was also a masculine structure called a Thingira that had spiritual meaning and importance. So today we dig into the homestead and we start to understand why there was a Nyûmba and why there was a Thingira in every homestead. But beyond that, we also begin to explore why our homesteads and the way that we lived were disrupted during colonialism. So we shed some light into the homestead, which is an important part, right, or is an important component and base that we will use to continue to add value and content as we open up and continue to go down season 2. So I am excited. And in this episode, Wayaki will take us down an important journey, right? That will be a great framework for our future episodes. So Wayaki, are we ready to jump in?
Yes, we are.
All right, let's do it. How about we start with your introduction?
Sure. Njĩtagwo Wayaki wa Gĩcanga, ndĩ mũcera wa mbarĩ ya Mũturi, ndĩ mũihwa na airimũ a mbarĩ ya Mbogo, hamarika ma wathani ndĩ wa Mwangi, ngaciarwo nĩ Maina. And I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here too. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, Wayaki, so what are we going to talk about today?
So today we'll be talking about the Agikuyu homestead.
Okay.
So that is the home of the Mûgîkûyû. And the home of the Mûgîkûyû was called the Mûciî.
What do you mean? Nyûmba?
No, it's not Nyûmba.
Okay. Okay.
We'll define what a Nyûmba is.
Okay.
But, you know, you can say your house is your home.
Okay.
You know, in English you can say that, but in our culture, Nyûmba is not representative of the home. The home is called Mûciî.
I see.
Yes. So, and the word Mûciî, the etymology of the word Mûciî comes from Goshira. So it's, you know, it's like Ishire, or that's where things or laws are made, so to speak.
So what is Goshira?
Goshira is to legislate.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. So the etymology of that word Mûciî comes from that word, Goshira.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay. I think that's super exciting. Okay. But okay, so even before we jump in, why are we talking about this?
So we are talking about the Mûciî so people can understand what a Mûciî is, what a homestead is. So as to understand what the Mûgîkûyû views is a homestead.
Okay. Okay, but why is that important today?
It's important today because, you know, we live in a world that's westernized. So we don't live in... So sometimes the definition of a home in Western society or Western civilization can mean so many different things. So we want our listeners to understand what a home means, or Mûciî means in our, in our culture.
You know, when you just said that, for some reason it hit me, right? Because it helped me realize that, again, one of the core central aspects of humanity is your home, right? And I just realized as you were speaking that we really haven't defined, or we don't know what a home is, not based on what we're taught by the Western culture, but based on who we are. What is a home? Oh, okay. I think let's just jump in, Wayaki. So where are you going to take us now?
So I'll start with two sayings.
Okay.
So one of the sayings is Mûciî ne dogo. And so do you know what that means?
Well, to me, it says a house is, what's it called? Doro. The doro when you light the fire and the doro comes up. What's it called?
So are you...
The smoke. Your house is smoke.
Yeah, so Mûciî ne dogo is a saying that is said a lot, right? In conversation, but it really defines what a home is. So, do you know what that saying means?
I mean, I can get a sense that, I can make some guesses.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so Mûciî ne dogo, your home is smoke, right? And I remember my shosho, right, in her home in Kehara, she had a separate kitchen from the rest of the house, right? And it was always smoky. When you'd enter, the smoke would enter your eyes.
You start crying.
You start crying, you can't see. But it was part of the beauty. When you went to Shosho's, you went to the kitchen, your eyes would water, right? So, I mean, I think that was the central aspect of Shosho's home, of our home, right? Was that kitchen.
Okay. So that's funny. most of the people who are raised in Nairobi, and when they go to visit their grandparents, they would have a outside kitchen. Actually, where I grew up, we had an outside kitchen, and it used to be smoky. So Mûciî ne dogo can mean a few things, but dogo comes from lighting up firewood or charcoal for that matter, and it most of the times the Mûgîkûyû was lighting up fire so that they could cook.
And dogo is smoke.
Dogo is smoke, yeah. That's what Mûciî ne dogo is. A home is smoke, literally. But that's not what it means, right? So a home is smoke, or Mûciî ne dogo means that, in that home, there's the principal activity of cooking, right? Like smoke is coming out of the kitchen. So it means that and cooking was done by women. So a Mûciî cannot be a home without a woman. Like you can have a mansion, but if there's no woman, from an Agikoyo standpoint, there's no home.
Ooh, the woman roots the home.
She makes the home. She makes the home. Every home is made by a woman.
Beautiful.
It can be built by a man, but it's made by a woman.
Yes.
So, and also Mûciî ne dogo means that, there's things in the home. Sometimes when you're looking on from the outside, you can't see what's happening in the home. You can speculate what's happening there,
right?
But you can't see.
Right.
So Mûciî ne dogo basically shows that the home of a Mûgîkûyû, there was cooking, there was warmth, because the warmth comes from the fire, from the food that is there to nourish the individuals that live there. That before today, where you have to call people before you go visit them.
All right.
You could.
Except you don't. You just show up.
Exactly. You have to call people to go visit them.
Right.
Before, pre-colonial, you could, and even post-colonial, even when I was a child, my uncles or my aunties could just show up. And so before you would show up to a Mûgîkûyû's house, when you enter, there's the gate, which is called the Dome. And you would, and now I'm just going to talk at a high level what the structure or how the home looked like.
Okay.
The homestead or the Mûciî looked like.
Right.
So when you get in, you would go through a gate, which is called Dome. And so you would be passing through, before you even get to the jar of the home, which is the outside, you'd pass through some granaries. And
Ikobe.
Ikobe. Oh, yeah. Ikobe is where grains were stored and food was stored. So you'd pass through several granaries. And if there were many wives in that homestead, because the Mûgîkûyû is polygamous, they you would find many granaries all around. Just giving you the sense that, this homestead is productive and generous, because you think about it, you could enter the home and go straight to the granaries
Right.
before you even ever got to the home.
Right. Not like here where I came in, there was nothing, no water. We reverted to old habits, right?
Wow, yeah, we did.
It's not how the Mûgîkûyû would have presented me with a granary of food selections.
But then also the Mûgîkûyû, when you are visiting, you'd have to bring something. So just showing you how the Mûgîkûyû was generous in terms of, there was even a ikoberea reamugedi. So ikoberea mugedi was a granary that was there for passerbys, people who are passing by, who could be on a long journey. Today you get into a car or a public vehicle, and then you're transported to another place or where you're visiting. But before, the Mûgîkûyû was walking, and they could be walking miles, and they could get hungry on the way, and so they could actually just go to the Ikobe and get something to eat.
That is so beautiful that I don't have to know who you are, but you are already generous enough, and you're putting food for the person that needs it, right, on their journey, right? So not only was it warm, the homestead warm, like you said, but it was also a place of giving and generosity and living out our values, right?
Exactly, exactly. So so once you would get in through there, and there's actually a saying that says, "Modo nioragera ikobe ini," like you can actually get lost in there. In the granary before you even get to the main home. But once you get in, the first house that you will see directly is the woman's Nyûmba. And if there were several wives, the main house would be the first wife's house.
Let me make sure we're clarifying this, right? Because we use the word Nyûmba and Mûciî, right? So Nyûmba, anytime you use the word Nyûmba, it means a woman's home specifically, not a house.
Yes. So Nyûmba capitalized is a woman's house, a woman's dwelling.
Okay. Hence Nyûmba mobi.
Nyûmba mobi, yeah.
Okay,
if you say, then if you use Nyûmba when it's not capitalized, it could mean just a structure.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And so, if I can explain what the word Nyûmba is, Nyûmba comes from the word koba, right?
To build.
To create.
Oh, to create. Okay.
Yeah. Koba is to build, and the word koba can mean several things. It could mean to attract, but just like the Spanish language, some words in Kikuyu are feminine and some are masculine. So Nyûmba, which the NY Nyûmba is shows that it's feminine.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. So Nyûmba is and it goes with, there are so many words that are feminine. I'll give you an example. Nyarari, is feminine. Nyarume means your maternal uncle. You can, instead of calling him mama, you can call him Nyarume, which is maternal. Nya is the nya
signifies
feminine.
What about Nyeri?
So that's a good question. I don't know what the etymology of the word Nyeri is.
Okay.
Because I'm not even from there.
Okay.
But I'll invite our listeners to help us with the etymology of the word Nyeri.
And good news, Kingori is from Nyeri.
So yeah, he might be able to help us with that, right?
Okay.
So Nyûmba is the woman's house.
Okay.
Yeah, capital N, Nyûmba. So I think I've kind of explained, what the Nyûmba is. When we're talking about the Nyûmba, then is we are referring to the woman's house in this particular episode.
Right.
We might talk about Nyûmba in a future episode, but if it's just we're not talking about the woman's house, it's just a structure, so to speak. Okay. So I want to say, so if you walk in, you see the woman's house, and then the man's house, which is the Thingira. Thingira. So that's where that was the man's house, right? So a man and a woman who are married had their own separate residences, so to speak. And so that, and then if you had if they had children, the children, especially the girls, would stay with the mother. Then the boys, once they became of a certain age, they would live in the Thingira.
Okay.
And I think the reason for this is obvious. I think the Mûgîkûyû they held decency and morality at such a high level where they didn't want the man, for example, the man of the house, to see his daughters, in an inappropriate dress, or where there was a level of morality and decency to separate the boys and the girls, and the man and the woman to live in that separate instance.
Right. If I could go a little bit off in terms of morality, right? Because you just pointed that out. When we think about morality, the idea of dress to create morality, is that Western or is that Kikuyu, right? Because, or Mûgîkûyû, because when we think about it, wasn't our dressing very minimal, and therefore dressing was not necessarily a measure of morality? It was more actions. Did you think about it or no?
That's true, but when I talk about morality in this particular instance, it refers to when when girls were going through puberty and going through changes. It was just more appropriate.
Right. Okay.
Because I'll actually say this, that to see a woman's nakedness was forbidden if you are not married to the woman. So you didn't want, the Kikuyu man or the Kikuyu woman did not want to happen to stumble on something inappropriate, which was a mogiro, which was something that was forbidden, was taboo.
Okay.
So that separation of structures of dwellings was to maintain that moral order in the homestead.
Okay.
And so, I just wanted to kind of point out that separation, because also the Nyûmba had a purpose and the Thingira had a purpose, and which we can talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I think that would be interesting. So what was the purpose? I've never thought of a home or having a purpose, right? So let's dive into that.
So let's talk about the Nyûmba to begin with.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Yes.
So the Nyûmba was the center of the spiritual center of the home. That's because that's where creation took place.
Ooh.
That's where children were conceived and born.
Right.
So it was the place of creation. That's where the home would continue its legacy and its ancestral lineage, right? So that was the importance. It's where all the cooking happened. It's where anything that the woman was related to the woman happened. And remember, there's no home or there's no Mûciî without a woman. In fact, a man who doesn't have a wife, it's said that you can never. He could be a millionaire, a billionaire, but it's said that dare Mûciî. Dare Mûciî means he doesn't have
He has no home.
He has no home.
Yeah.
So that's what it means. So the Nyûmba, its purpose or significance is in that, the furtherance of the lineage and the legacy and the genealogy of that family at a high level. And I'll preface this by saying that, I think in the future or future seasons, we may go into discussions on really detailed discussions on the home, the structure of the home, even though we'll share some resources that will enable people to see how the Nyûmba of the homestead looked, the structure, the Nyûmba, how it looked, the Thingira, how it looked, the Makobe, how they looked. But I do think in the future, because a lot of these items, even the items within the woman's house, within the man's house, had a meaning and a purpose. So
then what was the purpose of the Thingira, the man's house, hut?
So the Thingira was, the purpose of the Thingira was, if I may use a metaphor or an analogy. So, in the United States legislature, there's a Senate and there's a House, right? There's a House, Nyûmba.
Yes.
So the Thingira was a Senate. Okay. The purpose of the Thingira was to make law, the law of the homestead, right? So that's where legislation and decisions happened. It was real. Okay, so that's really was the purpose of the Thingira. It was the man's dwelling, but that's where the laws of the homestead were formed, and they were formed not just in the man's mind. So Kikuyu law of how to live comes from the Kiama. So Kiama is an organization of men, and there are Kiamas for women, right? So the man would interpret those laws from the Kiama, and they would come down to the homestead. So the Kiama would legislate very many things that have to do with, the society at large. And so the Kiama gets their laws from the covenants with our forefathers, or the covenants that our forefathers had with God. And so, because culture changes all the time, things change and they have to be deliberated. And so the Thingira was in the Thingira is where the man would talk with his wife or his wives, and they would decide what would happen.
I see. Okay, so that actually is really good to hear, that there was that partnership, right, where they discussed things, right, and they happened in the Thingira.
They did, yeah.
Okay,
In fact, there's a saying that says, "Ego shira wa Thingira, itishokaga Nyûmba." What that means is, once something is decided in the Thingira, it would not go back and then be
repealed.
Yeah. So actually, from a how to manage a homestead perspective, the wife was the executor. She would execute. Today when your children ask you, you've had this, like, go ask your father, go ask, go ask your mother, But she was the one who would execute what came from the Thingira, what she decided with her husband, what the husband and her came up with. So it would not be questioned once it went to the Nyûmba.
Right.
So that was the principal purpose of the Thingira. And then also the Thingira was where the man would sit down with his contemporaries and discuss family matters. Sometimes his children would come there and he would give them kerera. His wife or wives would come there and they would talk. It was more of a senate, right? And then the Nyûmba was the house, right? So, like, for example, today the house will pass a law and then it has to go up to the Senate.
Right.
So it used to be kind of that same relationship.
Right.
But so that was the main purpose of the Thingira.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the fact that there was alignment, right? That decision making was they would come together, they would have discussions, the final decisions would come up, and from there was complete alignment in the family between the man and his wife in terms of what's going on in their homestead in the Mûciî. I think that's beautiful. Yeah,
there was alignment. It wasn't and then so one of the people might ask, or our listeners might ask, why we don't have Thingiras anymore, so to speak. I think that Thingiras do exist today. Some men have Thingiras in their homes. So during emergency or during colonization, to be able to get the Mûgîkûyû to go work for the colonialists, they put a hat tax, because if you think about it, and we've talked about this before, the Mûgîkûyû, his principal activity for women, it was agriculture. For men, it was cattle raising, goat raising. It was
protection.
Protection. The army, the warriors. But their principal economic activity for men was animals. For women was crops. So they didn't need to have currency, because I would go and exchange those things in the marketplace with other tribes and all that, right?
Barter trade.
Yeah, barter trade. So, or even within Kikuyus, if you're in Nyeri and you have a crop that we don't have in Kabete, you would exchange it, right?
Yeah.
So when the colonialists came, what they did is, to be able to make the men go work for the land that was grabbed by them, they introduced a hat tax. And I think we mentioned, we talked about this. Our guest Chico talked about this in what
episode? I think 8 or 9.
8 or 9. Yeah. In last season. And so in one home, if you had a Thingira and one Nyûmba, it was double the tax. If you're a man with many wives, you had so it moved the man from the Thingira to the house, right?
Yeah.
And so destroyed that that all important moral separation,
right?
And a legislative separation, right?
Like, seriously, I don't know how to articulate this, but you have no idea how I have this mind-blown moment, right? Because I'm recognizing that the way we live today, and I'm not saying we change it or anything, the way we live today is actually contrary to the way we lived pre-colonization. Right, that pre-colonization, we had these different structures, and each of them, whether it was the masculine structure or the feminine structure, the Nyûmba of the Thingira, each of them had a purpose, right? And so there was really meaning behind everything that we did. And then now, because of hat tax, we brought it all and we eliminated all of that significance and value that came from that separation. Oh my gosh. Right? Like, literally, we are fully embedded in a Western culture down to the way we live. Who's ever thought about that? That we didn't share bedrooms? Ahmad and wife didn't sleep in the same bedroom every day of the year.
And there are explanations which we wouldn't talk about that. That we can talk about off air, but there were reasons for that. Yeah. So
why are we talking about them off air?
Because we want to maintain a level of decency.
Okay.
Because this podcast, you have children listening who want to learn about our culture, but there were reasons.
Okay. Interesting. I can't wait to chat about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's one thing I forgot about the Thingira. So to explain what the etymology of Thingira is. So the word Thigi means, Thigi means virgin.
Oh.
It does, but the other meaning of the word Thiga or Thiga, which is to close, so to speak, but to protect. It means to protect.
Okay.
When you close, you protect, obviously, right?
Right.
So that word is very powerful because it has two words in there. It has Thigi and Ira. And if you know, I don't know if you know what Ira is. Ira is a substance that is found in Mount Kenya that is used in all Kikuyu ceremonies and rituals, which is very clean. It's white.
Oh, the white paste.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a powder.
Okay.
So it's used in, Irua. It's used in a lot of Kikuyu ceremonies and rituals. So it's like it cleanses. So it's, the Thingira, the word Thingira is really, it's the protection of the and the cleansing of the
Homestead.
of the homestead. So it has a deep etymology, and I'm actually just scratching the surface,
right,
which we can talk about in future seasons.
Right. Where was it positioned in the homestead? Because I know you said when you
was-
walk in, the first thing you see is the ikobe,
That's a good question. Yeah.
right? And then you also see the Nyûmba
It would be on the right.
on the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what you see when you enter and pass the Makobe is the first wife's house.
Okay.
And then there would be arranged, if the man had many wives, there would be Nyûmbas arranged like on the left of, but the main house and even the biggest house would be
Thingira.
not the Thingira,
The Nyûmba, yes.
which is, like I said, is the center
Yeah.
of the home,
Yes.
of the Mûciî.
Okay.
Which, if there's no Nyûmba, there's no Mûciî.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said it was to the right.
The Thingira is to the right.
Okay.
The woman's house, or the Nyûmba, is in the center. Once you enter, it's in this. You see, it's the first thing you see.
Okay.
Once you pass the granaries.
Okay. Off question. Okay, you're going to find this really funny. So I remember there was this one time you and I were doing a video about Kikuyu culture, and we thought about where to sit. And did you say I sit on the right or what? Was it tied to this too? The whole concept of...
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
Right. Because I know you said it was somehow tied to the way the Agikoyo did it, right? And the positioning of genders, but yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then where do we go next? What do we need to talk about, or have we covered today's topic?
We have, but I did want to touch on a few more points.
Okay.
So I want to talk about because the Mûgîkûyû was agricultural in nature, and so the Mûgîkûyû loves teri, or what is called land. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. How we view land, because if you have a Mûciî and you have land, that's where you go till and plant crops and herd your animals. So we liken land, we call, and I think we talked about this last season, land is feminine. We consider land feminine because it's where seeds are planted and then they germinate and grow, right? And we liken a piece of land to a woman. And in fact, in our culture, the process of odoni, that you go and pay dowry and all that, was the same process used when you were purchasing land.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so why is this significant? The reason I wanted to mention this is the fact that ancestral land in today's society in Kenya, it's it's law that women can inherit land, right? But and there was that controversy through many decades of the question, why can't women inherit land? So I wanted to explain what the Mûgîkûyû's outlook or reasoning for that was, just to make it clear. So ancestral land, what is ancestral land?
Yeah, what is ancestral land? How do you define it?
Ancestral land is where your ancestors are. It's where your ancestors are buried.
Okay.
So, for example, if you belong to a family and you have your grandfather, your uncles, great-grandfather buried there, that's your ancestral land. And it is likely that even if it's not where your ancestors are, that there's a possibility that when during colonization a lot of Kikuyus were displaced.
Yes. And they never got their land back.
They never got their land back, right? But it is so you can actually transfer ancestral land.
How do you do that?
Like you can, there are processes to do that.
Okay.
There are Kikuyu ceremonies to be able to transfer land ancestrally. So the reason most Kikuyu families don't want to give inheritance to women is because when women come of age, usually they will go and get married to another family, right? And so if you give them ancestral land, it's like you're giving that other family that land, right?
Okay.
So it's not to say that women cannot inherit, because if your father has land that he has bought, that is not ancestral. Like, he has a plot in Juja, a plot in Ruiru, he has some land in Nakuru, he can give that to you as a woman. But the reason ancestral land was held so close to the heart is because it's where all the lineage of men will come, and it's their wealth.
Right.
It's their gift that they were given by the
What
ancestors.
if a woman was single?
That's a good question. So there's in our culture there's three types of women. There's a woman who's married, a woman who is not married, and a woman who was married but then divorced.
Okay.
Right? So a woman who is married, we've talked about that. If she were to inherit the land, it would be like giving another body, another family that land.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And, let me make another point based on that. The fact that the fact that let me give you an example. So if a man married you, Jerry, and then you have in your possession ancestral land, it's like he has married two sisters. In how we view it. Because if he marries you and you own that piece of land, your ancestral land and you are like sisters. And in our culture, we can't marry sisters. You see what I'm saying? Because the process of acquiring that land is the same process of marriage. Right?
So what if a family only has girls?
Okay, yeah. So what would happen is if those girls are all married off, they can't inherit the ancestral
So
land.
what happens to the land?
So the ancestral land is, that family can't just have one man. He has brothers. He has sisters who have sons, right? So those sons would be the trustees. And in fact, the women, so I was talking about the three types of women, so I can make this clear. So if you have a woman who has divorced and come back, right? She becomes a trustee of the land. Because why? Because she has sons in that lineage who will inherit that land. She becomes a trustee. If a woman has no sons but is unmarried, there's a process of she becomes like what you call she becomes like a man of the there's a way to she is converted to become what is called keheke Mûciî. Where then but then that would mean that she was not getting married again, right? Because then if she inherits the land, and that land would escape and go to another family. So that was a way of keeping your ancestral wealth, and of course not giving away the sacred land where your ancestors are.
Right. So I'll tell you, Ayaki, I think this may be quite controversial, right? You know, in terms of, I could see our listeners asking the question of, okay, but we're in modern day now, and the world looks very different now, right? Because you hear stories also of, for example, women who get married, right, and have kids, so they no longer are belonging to their old moherega, right, or bare, right? They get married, and then their spouse passes away, and their existing family doesn't honor that relationship, right? I mean, there's so many stories of that, for example, right? So then that woman ends up having no belonging, right? Because she's not fully acknowledged into the family as was with our ancestors, right? So I could see this becoming a question because we are not fully practicing of our culture the way our ancestors did, and honoring marriage the way it was honored, right, in the time of our ancestors. I could see this potentially being a concern for both men and women, right? Just being concerned about
especially for women.
Especially for women primarily, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And there are so many twists and turns that this discussion can take. I just wanted to explain why ancestral land was not given to women.
Right. Why it was handled the way it was handled.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you know, in today's society, that philosophy still stands, because if you're a family and your husband dies, and then the family that you're married into, remember, a woman has two moheregas, right? She takes on the moherega of the husband, but she also has her dad's moherega, right? And if things were not to work out, she still has her dad's moherega.
So does that mean then she could inherit land then in that case?
You know, if she came back, she could become a trustee because she has children who would inherit that land. She becomes a trustee, right? But then she can't then inherit land and then gets married and moves that, because if that land is in her possession, then she would move with it. It would belong to another family, right? So you're seeing the conundrum that can happen. But remember, in today's society, men and women are buying land. And so it's not to say that your father cannot give you land. We are not saying that. We're just talking about how important our ancestral land is. Because there's no one who would want where their ancestors are buried being given away.
Right.
Because that's where your ancestors are. You do not want where your grandfather is buried to be sold off for development.
Right. Yeah.
You would not want that to happen.
Yeah.
Man or woman.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes logical sense to me, like in terms of why the decisions were made the way they were, in terms of men inheriting ancestral land and women not inheriting ancestral land. I totally get the logic and the reasoning behind it. And the beauty also is, right, I know you and Kingori have said this many times, I don't know how you say it, but it's that the Mûgîkûyû always had solutions, right? So in my mind, I do wonder, right, that if there was that kiama and our ancestors were debating this issue, where would they land, right? Would they make some adjustments? I don't know, right? But I certainly appreciate the perspective, and I understand, right, the logic and the reasoning, right, that our ancestors had. And logically, it makes absolute sense. The reasoning does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've covered a few things on the Nyûmba and land, and I do want to conclude, kind of give a summary of what we've talked about in terms of the fact that we want our listeners to delve deeper and study what the Mûciî of a Mûgîkûyû look like. It has deep philosophy. You know how it was shaped, how the houses were shaped, how the structures were shaped. So the Thingira was round. The Nyûmba was round. The
homestead.
The homestead was almost circular, right? And it mirrored. So the round shape was very efficient to use spatially, and also it's funny because a lot of the implements of the woman and the man were round. I mean, of the woman were round, but of the man, his implements were kind of straight.
Oh.
So they had like a cosmic balance because even women are round in shape, like they're shapely.
Really? And men are shapeless?
Men are kind of straight.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Shapeless. Like they're just like no curves.
Right.
But anything the woman used, her implements, kiodo, gitaruru, the pots and pans, they were all round in shape.
Right.
And round, in many cultures has a spiritual or a cosmic significance. So I want our listeners to do some research. We'll provide some materials on, the structure of the house, of the homestead, the Mûciî. But what I want our listeners to take away is, what a Mûciî is, which, a woman makes the home. Mûciî ne dogo. So I want them to remember that. But there's a lot of resources that they can read and find out more about the Mûgîkûyû homestead.
Great. I love it. I have enjoyed it. I have learned so much. I've learned about the Nyûmba, right? And its purpose and significance. I've learned about the Thingira, its purpose and significance, right? I've also understood why our way of living, right, was disrupted because of attacks, right? And then also I've gotten some more color and understanding around ancestral land, right? And why ancestral land was inherited by men, right, of the home, and which kind of women could end up inheriting or becoming trustees of ancestral land, right? So I think that's really fascinating. I think we've really, really learned a lot and I'm so excited. So let me ask you this question now, Wayaki. What will we talk about in the next episode?
Good question. So I think that following up with our discussion today, which was really high level on the Nyûmba and the homestead of the Mûgîkûyû, we're going to talk about the duties and the roles of the individuals that lived there, the family that lived there, the children, the men, women, what were their roles? What were their responsibilities? So, and obviously, we've talked a bit about land, what was their responsibility when it came to that? And we'll also talk about, the philosophy of the relationship between a man and a woman in our culture. I could have touched on a bit today, but I think I'll leave that for episode 2.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much. And we will see everybody in episode 2.
This podcast is written and produced by Wayakiwage Shaga, Jeriwadi Ho, and Kengoriwa Kanyi. Theme song is produced by Jenga Gigs. The sound is mixed and arranged by Wayakiwage Shaga. You can find us on all social media platforms by searching for Matire Gemi. You can listen to us wherever you find podcasts. And once again, thank you for listening.